Okay, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Detection and Measurement Systems. I'm Eric Sutton, trying to host here with Mark Dundas, and he's going to be giving us a presentation on the Searchline Excel, the new Plus and Edge products. And so we're excited to share that with you. I'm going to let Mark just take it away and do his introductions and our presentation. Please drop your questions in the questions and answers section as we go through, and we will, make an interruption only if needed. But we'll let Mark go through his presentations, and we'll also have the questions and answers there at the end. So we look forward to seeing those come through at any time. And Mark, I'll let you take it away. Thank you so much.
Great. Appreciate it very much, Eric. Yeah, a giant thank you to everybody who's taking the time to join us for this. If you're familiar with the presentations we do at DMS, we make sure they are content rich, and this is a content rich presentation where you get to learn about a new the new Searchline Excel Plus and Edge that leapfrogs what everything else on the market. It's a pretty amazing product, and you're going to enjoy. What you hear, and it's going to be a lot of detail. Yeah, and of course, just to mention, I'm the president of Detection and Measurement Systems. Detection and Measurement Systems is the largest distributor in North America for Honeywell Analytics gas and flame detection products. I've been selling and supporting these products for over 40 years, and it's been our privilege to have this relationship with Honeywell, and continues to be a privilege. So let's get on with the presentation. And I want to start again. We're going to be talking about the Searchline Excel Plus and Edge, the new Open-Path infrared hydrocarbon gas detector. And in the event that there's anybody in the crowd who isn't familiar with what open-path hydrocarbon gas detection is, basically what an open-path hydrocarbon gas detector is a detection system where we have an infrared light source that projects an infrared beam across an extended distance of hundreds of feet to an infrared receiver that's located on the other end. And most any hydrocarbon gas that crosses the beam at any point between the source and the receiver is not only going to be detected, but the detector will also measure the volume, not the concentration, but the volume of hydrocarbon gas that's present within the beam at that period of time. And so you have essentially a continuous infrared beam extending hundreds of feet, where the gas can cross at any point, and you have detection. So it provides an advantage from a coverage standpoint that's really unmatched, certainly by point detectors. And the next slide I have is why open path hydrocarbon detection. And it's interesting. Throughout my career, I've had a number of occasions where I've had a customer, looking at a detector, and he's going, "Wow, that's really a neat point gas detector, maybe a point hydrocarbon detector." And what's the area coverage of this detector? Is it 10 feet, 20 feet? What's the area coverage? And I explained to them, well, actually, the area coverage is the size of the hole that the gas goes in the gas detector to where it gets to the sensor where the sensor can respond. In other words, a point gas detector, whether it's a hydrocarbon detector or a toxic gas detector, has no area coverage. So where the gas detector is placed is critical. And because of the absence of area coverage, you have to use quite a large number of point gas detectors to have a reasonable probability that your gas detection system is going to see the target gas so that you have the opportunity to detect an alarm to it. But there are ample opportunities for gas to travel between detectors undetected, and that's a huge limitation of point detectors. And so with go back to pardon me, this moved. So with an open path infrared hydrocarbon detector, you have a continuous line of detection from traveling hundreds of feet from the IR source to the IR receiver, which creates a much greater probability that the gas will actually encounter the detection beam or the detector, so that the likelihood of your gas detection system actually seeing the gas and having an opportunity to respond and alarm to the gas it's just astronomically improved over point detection. And so when you have an application where you utilize both open path and point gas detectors, what you'll end up with is actually a gas detection system that utilizes fewer detectors, because you can replace a lot of point detectors with open path detectors. But you'll also end up with a gas detection system that is cheaper to install, fewer detectors to maintain. It'll bring down the overall cost of your gas detection system to utilize both point and open path in the traditional industrial applications that we run into. So open path hydrocarbon gas detection is a technology that should be very seriously considered by any company that has hydrocarbon gases that they need to detect. It's no small thing. So we're going to be talking again about the Searchline Excel Plus and Edge. The Plus and the Edge. Yes, that means there are two versions of the detector. And on the left are some very basic specifications on the Plus. First of all, the Searchline Excel Plus has an operating a range of 6 to 393 feet. That's 120 meters. It's available with these various calibrations, although it'll detect a multitude of other hydrocarbon gases outside of the calibrations that are available. The range of detection is 0 to 5 LEL meters. Now, this is a volumetric range, not a concentration, 0 to 5 LEL meters. That can also be provided to you as a ppm equivalent. So that's something new with the Searchline Excel Plus and the Edge, is that we can share this information as ppm measurements rather than percent LEL meter rather measurements. And then this is an immensely fast responding detector with a T90 response of 3 seconds. So very, very rapid detection. So for applications where you are looking at areas, distances, below, let's say just under 400 feet, the Searchline Excel Plus is what you would go with. The second detector that is being launched as a sister product is the Searchline Excel Edge. And I want to emphasize this, that the operating distance for the Searchline Excel Edge is 196 to 1,082 feet maximum distance. To take a step back, 1,082 feet is a massive, massive extension of the operating distance of open path hydrocarbon detectors on the market. The current Searchline, or the previous Searchline Excel, had the longest operating distance on the market of 650 feet until the release of this product. The vast majority of our competitors can only shoot their open path detectors uh, 100 and oh gosh, hold it. It's the one, yeah, the 300, yeah, actually the 393-foot range, the 120-meter distance. And so this is a massive development and improvement in terms of the operating distance of the Searchline Excel Edge. So this is no small thing whatsoever. Everything else about it is the same calibrations, the same range of measurement, the same response time as what we discussed for the Searchline Excel Plus. So let's talk a little bit about this operating distance and dwell on it a bit more, because this is very important. First of all, with an open path infrared hydrocarbon gas detector, it really boils down, as far as the operating distance that you're going to get out of an open path detector. It boils down to two things. First of all, the intensity and the quality of the projection of the infrared beam by the infrared source. It has to be a very intense IR beam, yet eye safe, so that it's not dangerous if you happen to look into it. And then what you do with that light at the receiver end to maximize that light in terms of the signal and the signal to noise ratio that you get. And so what's happened with this development is that Honeywell Analytics has made huge strides, both in the job they do of projecting a very intense IR beam over very long distances, but along with that, they've also made major developments in the design of the optics of the receiver to make the most of that improved, light that's being projected over long distances, to the degree that they have almost been able to double the what was the maximum length of any open path hydrocarbon gas detector on the market, which is absolutely huge. This makes this, particularly the edge, ideal for perimeter monitoring. For example, if you've got a fence line that you're concerned where you're concerned about gas traveling over to a neighbor's property, being able to shoot at that extended distance really does help tremendously and bring the cost down for that kind of perimeter monitoring. Or if you're just monitoring the perimeter, of of a process area, and sort of enclosing a process area, or shooting down, the walkway through the middle of a process area. Those are the sort of applications, that we're talking about. But to kind of put this in the proper perspective, you can use a single Searchline Excel edge where you would have to use at least two and even three competitive open path detectors to accomplish the same distance that you're trying to monitor. So it's a very big deal. Let me uh, also make another comment. That is that this product has, without question, the best performance in dealing with fog, rain, and steam, regardless of what the technology of competitive products are, whether it's NDIR or laser. And let me explain why. When you've developed an optical bench or an optical system for an open path detector that has essentially doubled the operating distance of all of the competitive products on the market, that's great if you want to shoot it that far and cover that long of a distance. Which, by the way, that's a conservative distance. That is the product is the performance is not being stretched at that 1,082-foot distance. But in other applications where you're shooting at 300 feet or 400 feet or 500 feet, um, you still have that very, very intense IR beam because it's so intense and because of the design of the optics that makes the most of it, it allows this detector to dramatically outperform every other product on the market in terms of dealing with, cutting through fog, steam, and rain. Because there are two limitations of an open path hydrocarbon gas detector. One is that when it sees gas, it can't tell you where the gas is within the beam because it's just counting hydrocarbon molecules from one end of the beam to the other end of the beam. The other limitation is that if fog gets dense enough, you run the risk of the fog blocking the IR beam from making its way to the receiver at the other end. So if you can make a quantum leap in the performance of the optics to cut through that fog, that becomes a very big deal. And that's exactly what's happened here. And that's why this product has just jumped way ahead of everything else on the market in terms of dealing with fog, steam, and rain. So it quite literally is the best open path hydrocarbon detector on the market for dealing with inclement weather conditions, which for customers along the Gulf Coast, that is of particular concern. So I like to dive deep into this stuff. Well, let's dive a little deeper into it. So here we have the infrared transmitter on the left that's shooting the IR beam to the right, but let's take a look a little deeper at the IR transmitter. This is an illustration of the optical bench of the IR transmitter. And here you have a xenon flash lamp. Now, this is a xenon flash lamp. This is not a xenon tube like what you find in a xenon alarm beacon. If you're familiar with them, the clear sort of U-shaped tube that flashes for an alarm indication. Instead, this is a modular device with a lens on the front that is a very, very intense IR light source and visible light as well. All of the light is projected forward and it hits a lens that collimates the beam, shapes and forms the beam to send a very narrow beam to the receiver located at the other end to maximize not just the amount of light that is being received at the receiver, but the shape of that light so that the receiver is able to receive maximum light intensity so that we can operate at these extended distances. So that light that's received at the receiver goes through a lens. And the first thing that's unique about this is that the size of the opening of the IR receiver has been enlarged from about that big to about that big. And the reason for that is because what they're doing is they're bringing in more light, as you can see in the illustration. They're bringing in all of this light that enters through this large lens where it's hitting a concave mirror, which focuses and folds that light and focuses that light on a beam splitter that sends a portion of the light to a sample sensor and a portion of the light to the optical sensor, but far more light than the previous Searchline XL or anything else on the market. And that's the trick. We have a greatly improved IR source that with a much better, much more intense light beam that's better focused, that's going to a receiver that's taking in much more of that light and focusing all that light on those very small sensors. And that's what gives us these very, very long operating distances that we're saying, which is, I think, absolutely brilliant. And so, if we look at this a little bit closer, in fact, let's look at this illustration here, which is a ray tracing of the light beam. So what you see is the center of the beam is red, which is the most intense portion of the beam, and then that drops off to a yellow going into a blue gray or a green rather, and into blue, so it's a drop off in intensity. But you see that tight cluster of high intensity light at the center, and that's what you're looking for in terms of properly shaping the IR beam from an open path detector, because that's maximizing the light intensity at the center where it needs to be. If you look at the chart to the left, what's really interesting is, first of all, that surface of that intense portion of the beam is very flat. So that's a nice, flat, broad, and I say broad, it's basically zero point 0.4 degrees on either side of the sweet spot of that beam intensity, which is a large area of beam to align the detector on. So it actually means that the detector can be aligned very easily to this large sweet spot of high intensity IR. You'll see the IR light drops off, and at about 8.8 degrees on either side, you're at about 50% of the light intensity that you get at the center, and which is still more than ample light for the detector to work if you have misalignment. So the detector is much less tolerant or much more tolerant, excuse me, of misalignment than the previous Searchline Excel is. Just again, it's very, very clever the way that this has been shaped, and the benefit again is it's tolerance of misalignment. What's also immensely clever about this is this, and that is we're projecting the IR beam from the transmitter to the receiver. And in this illustration here, we have perfect alignment where we're centered, focused on the high intensity portion of the beam. Over here on this illustration, the IR transmitter is misaligned, and the more intense portion of the beam is not aligned properly with the receiver. In this case, the beam from the transmitter is aligned correctly, but the IR receiver is misaligned. The smarts that have been built into the microprocessor that monitor the alignment are not only able to tell the customer that there is misalignment in these cases where misalignment occurs with one or other end of the system, but it's able to tell you whether it's the IR receiver or the IR source that's misaligned, or both. It's able to tell you all of that information at a glance, so that when your technician goes out to do maintenance on the detector, they don't have to try to figure out where the misalignment is, and they don't have to attach a scope to figure it out, because the detector will tell them specifically which end needs to be aligned, which again is absolutely brilliant and tremendously shortens the job of the technician that has to go on site to correct for any alignment issue that might exist. Um, I wanted to share with you all this illustration, which is basically comparing the previous Searchline Excel with the new Searchline Excel Edge. And my point in this is this, and that is that when you open up the box for the Searchline Excel, the previous Searchline Excel that we've been supplying for a number of years, it comes in a kit form that requires assembly. So it comes with a plate, it comes with a transmitter, it comes with this mounting bracket, it comes with all the hardware that's part of the mounting bracket. All of this is disassembled, included the Allen screw there and the Allen screw there, all these various Allen screws that are loose, all of which have to be assembled along with the IR source or the IR transmitter, and then the interconnecting cable that connect the transmitter to the IR receiver. All of that has to be assembled before you can finally actually attach it to the post or the pole or the flat surface that you want to mount it to. And I will admit it is time consuming. When you open up the box that contains the Searchline Excel IR receiver or transmitter, everything you see here is what comes in the box. And basically, what comes in the box are only three components that have to be assembled. First of all, the mounting bracket comes fully assembled, including this elbow portion that supports the IR receiver or transmitter. So you get that as a complete assembly. You get the IR transmitter or the IR receiver, and then you also get separately a sun deluge cover that mounts on top, and that's installed simply by unscrewing a Bluetooth antenna cover and then placing the sun deluge cover on top, screwing the antenna cover on snugly, and it's attached. So that in fact, everything you see here is supplied in the box except for the pole in the illustration. And so the time it takes from opening the box to having the IR source and the IR transmitter installed and ready to go has been shortened to a fraction of the time that it took with the previous Searchline Excel. I don't know how it gets any easier, quite frankly, than in the way that this has been conceived and designed by Honeywell Analytics. I want to talk a moment about the mounting bracket as well, because this is a great change. You saw the stainless steel plate on the previous version of the Searchline Excel. On this plate, the first thing I want to point out is instead of having mounting holes of a given diameter that are drilled at different points for mounting, instead these large slots with various size openings are provided to accommodate whatever bolts you want to stick through there, U-bolts, unistrut, whatever hardware you want to use to install these. At all four corners, you have so much latitude for where you drill your mounting holes or place your U-bolts or whatever, so that it provides tremendous flexibility and ease of mounting. This is also very small, very compact compared to the previous mount, of course, made out of 316 stainless steel. And then also you've got this elbow shaped portion that is supplied on it, and you've got a single bolt. This bolt right here that you are able to attach. Basically, you mount the Searchline Excel Plus receiver or source on the top here. It bolts on with that single bolt, and this is a cap at the bottom that you simply use a screwdriver to remove. Although it stays in place, it's got a supporting strap, and you can access the Allen bolt from the bottom to tighten your this bolt to tightly secure your source or receiver on the top. It takes less than a minute to install the receiver or the transmitter, IR transmitter, onto the mounting bracket. And then finally, you've got adjustments right here for your vertical alignment adjustment, and here for your horizontal adjustment that are extremely easy to access. Nothing gets in the way. It's cleaned up, and it is just simply so much easier to install one of these than with the previous Searchline Excel. From an output standpoint, the IR receiver, which is the smart end of this Open-Path detector, is available as standard with a multitude of outputs. First of all, it has, as is very typical, a 4 to 20 milliamp output. In addition, it is provided with HART, which is embedded on the 4 to 20 milliamp output, going back to your control room. It's also supplied with a Modbus output, plus Bluetooth communication, a Bluetooth link. And yep, that's a big change. So now you have the ability to utilize a Android tablet or a Android phone, to do anything and everything you would ever need to do from a commissioning, operation, and maintenance standpoint on the Searchline Excel Plus and Edge, and it's absolutely amazing how easy this tool is to use. And then finally, it comes standard with relay outputs for alarm 1, alarm 2, and fault. So you've got everything that you would need regardless of what you're going to be connecting this to. And to touch on the Bluetooth connection, as I mentioned, this is an Android app that you can. There is an Android app, a Honeywell Android app that you can download for free from the Google Store for use with an Android tablet or or a phone, Android phone. And of course, and we offer Class 1 Division 1 or Class 1 Division 2 certified phones that we can supply with your new detectors. Or if you've got these already available at your site, we DMS and Honeywell will work with you very closely to get these set up and ready for use with a Searchline Excel Edge or Plus. But what you can do with these things is so amazing, because from the moment from the commissioning process, setting up the alignment, confirming the alignment is correct, testing the detector with test filters, all of that you do in a step-by-step process during commissioning, that the app steps you through one step at a time. And then after you do it, it confirms proper operation from the detector, tells you what the next step is. It is absolutely idiot proof. From a maintenance standpoint, there is diagnostic capability, historical data, event logs, and the ability to go out and do maintenance on the detector and have a report generated by the app. That is just incredible. And one of the things I love about it, and this is, people, some people being people, if a technician says they went out and performed maintenance on the detector, that maintenance has to have been performed. There's going to be a report generated by the app that will confirm that the maintenance was completed and completed successfully. So if a site has a maintenance technician who is prone to not really doing what they say they're doing, but filling out the forms as if they did, they can't get away with it with this. And so the certainty that your detector is being maintained the way that it is supposed to be maintained and the way you want it maintained is built into this just amazing tool. So it's just a great way and improvement over everything I've seen on the market for being able to go through these procedures. Um, Another thing that is just a huge change is the new alignment scope that has been developed for use with the Plus and Edge. First of all, when you're shooting an infrared beam 1,082 feet, you need a alignment scope that is going to be more than capable of allowing for easy alignments at distances that are so incredibly far as that. And this alignment scope absolutely meets that challenge. The zoom function of this scope is unlike any alignment scope I've ever used in my life. It is an absolute beast. And what's interesting as well is, as you can see in the illustration here, it actually inserts into the front of the receiver or the source. In fact, over on the left here at these pointers, this is a clamping mechanism with 4 clamps so that you slide it into the receiver or the source. And then you rotate these 2 levers that are sticking out together towards one another, and that extends 4 clamps that lock this into place so that it is aligned optically perfectly with the source. And then you view through the scope right here, this portion of the scope, and this portion can rotate back and forth into a position that's a comfortable position for you. Along with the ability now to be able to see 182 or 1,082 feet, easily with this scope. What I love about it as well is that when you're shooting shorter distances, maybe 300 feet, the zoom capability to get such a clear and uh, up close view of the device you're aligning it to at the other end is just phenomenal. You've got crosshairs to spot the center, but one thing they've added as well is 2 circles, a smaller circle and a larger circle, that when I'm doing alignment with this, because I have experience using this, it just provides a far better visual of exactly how it's aligned relative to the circumference of the detector. It just visually works better. Between the use of this scope and the ease of access to the alignment adjustments, the alignment of this is much easier than the previous Searchline Excel, and this is no exaggeration. Alignment on each of the 2 ends on each end can be accomplished within 5 minutes per end easily. Uh, and I'm speaking from experience. This is not me being hypothetical whatsoever. Huge improvement. Next thing that I love about this product is very cool is the visual indication, which is what's called a LED halo. This is an LED halo ring that is located behind the glass lens of the IR receiver, and that ring gives you an indication of the status of your open-path gas detector at a glance. It's a bright ring that you can see in bright daylight, and you can absolutely see it at night. In fact, it's more clear at night. Very, very cool actually at night. And what you're looking at here, for example, on the left-hand side, the green ring is telling me that the Searchline Excel Plus or Edge is in normal operation and everything is fine. The world is safe for democracy with that detector at least. And then the red LED ring is indicating a gas alarm condition. The yellow ring is indicating that the detector is in a fault or warning mode. So it's trying to get your attention to let you know that, hey, I need some attention, some assistance. But also, in addition to that, if you have put the detector into an inhibit mode, for example, if you want to test the detector for a response, but you don't want to generate alarms back at the control room, then you'll get an orange ring telling you that's in an inhibit mode where the milliamp output is inhibited to 2 milliamps. Or when you're connected to the IR receiver with your Bluetooth device, it'll have a blue ring confirming that you're connected. Which, by the way, one thing I'll add about using the tablet, and again, this is speaking from experience, is that you don't have to be hands-on with the detector when you're communicating with it utilizing the functions of the tablet. You can walk up to 30 feet away, go find a shady place to sit, get out of the sun, and go through, for example, go through the commissioning process from your tablet, sitting in a more comfortable location in the shade. Which I'm again speaking from experience because we have a unit bit that's installed at a customer site that's been there through most of the summer, much of the summer, and I commissioned it, and I thoroughly enjoyed going through that commissioning process, sitting in the shade because it was about 98 degrees when I went through the commissioning process. It is just a wonderful thing to be able to do this in a more comfortable location. So very neat indicator. One last thing is the infrared source on the other end, the light source, also has a green halo ring. So there's no more wondering whether your IR source is powered up. You'll be able to tell at a glance that you've got DC being supplied to your IR source and that it is functioning. Um, the chart I just brought up here, what this is a gas response chart of the previous Searchline Excel Open-Path Hydrocarbon Detector. And at the bottom here, you'll see pentane. This is the response of that detector to pentane. And we offered all of these, or do offer all of these calibrations with the previous Searchline Excel. But pentane is the gas on this list of target gases and calibrations that the previous Searchline Excel is least responsive to among this list of gases that you see listed on the right. Methanol, on the other hand, is the target gas in the calibration for which the previous Searchline Excel has the greatest response to. And that's why the curve is so high. But the point in bringing all this up is you see how wide the spread is between the pentane calibration and the methanol calibration and all of the gases in between. And so for those of you that are customers of ours for the Searchline Excel, one of our first questions is, what are your target gases? Because we wanted to make sure that we always supplied the right calibration for your application. And I think this chart illustrates for you why that's important. You want to make sure you have the calibration that's going to be appropriate for your application. Well, keep that visual in mind and take a look at this. This is the same chart, but showing the relative response for the new Searchline Excel Edge and Plus for these gases, which are most of the same gases that were on that other chart. And look how tight the cluster of the relative responses for all of these gases. They are very, very similar to one another. And what this means now is that you can pick really almost any one of these calibrations would be suitable for any one of these gases that you're monitoring for. What it does is it allows for the easy pick of just a single calibration that will tackle a long list of other hydrocarbons you might also be looking to detect. And what I'm excited about is that historically we've not been able to stock Searchline Excels here at DMS because we keep $300,000 worth of Honeywell Analytics inventory here at our offices because we like to have inventory available for our customers. But we weren't able to stock Searchline Excels because of that broad spread of relative responses for all those gases. and the fact that you had to pick the right calibration, and we can't change the calibrations on this end. So it just made it too difficult for us to stock. But with this new detector and the tight cluster of responses, we're going to look very seriously at putting some of these on the shelf so that we have these available for rapid delivery to our customers. So this is quite a big change in the new product from Honeywell. And then I'm going to wrap it up here with this last slide. And there's a lot about this that has pointed towards improvements about this product, that has pointed towards improvements that make living with an open path gas detector easier. Uh, and along with that is the ease of detector replacement if you have a problem that necessitates the replacement of an IR source or an IR receiver. The Searchline Excel Plus and Edge is built in this modular form that you're seeing in this image, so that if you have a failure of an infrared source, light source, or an infrared receiver, then you can simply unscrew the front cover, remove the electro-optical module that simply plugs in and rotates to lock into place, which also locks in the factory set and very um, precision alignment of the new module that you install, so that when you install that new module and then fit the new cover, your alignment of your Searchline Excel will not have changed, and you simply power the unit up, let it go through a startup procedure, recommission it, and you're ready to go. You're back in business. If it's an IR transmitter, an IR light source, then there's no additional commissioning required. You're simply back up and running and good to go. So they have once again made life simpler for the customers by developing this product rather, with a modular design that just makes life easier for our customers. So you may have picked up on my enthusiasm about this product through this presentation. I think perhaps now you have more of an appreciation for why I am as excited about this product as I am, and I really am. And I'd love to take any questions that anybody has, and just happy to answer whatever you want to throw at me. And Eric, you've probably been, I guess, looking at the questions. Do you want to read a question out that we can tackle? There we go.
See if I can welcome myself back into the room here. Figured out how to remove the video and microphone. Yeah, so if anybody would like to go ahead and pose some questions here in the question section, or just let me know too if you'd like me to unmute your microphone and join in the discussion here. I'm happy to do that for a few minutes and some questions and answers. Yeah, just to mirror what you were saying, Mark, really, there is a lot of excitement around this. We're kind of geeks, I guess, when it comes to gas detection technologies. We love to dive deep, and we really just covered kind of just the surface of what's going on here. So it's actually a lot more than you could possibly cover in just a few minutes. But not seeing anybody anxious to get unmuted or type in their questions here at the moment. We still have quite a few people that are on, which is great. You just never know how these things are going to go. So are these readily available today? Is our question from Josh. Thank you, Josh. And any cost difference from the old version? Two great questions. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, yes, they are. Honeywell Analytics is taking orders and building these for delivery to customers right now. So yes, this is what we are quoting from this point forward for open path hydrocarbon detector applications that customers have. So absolutely, positively, and also it's interesting. I do have we do have pricing information on this. I've reviewed it very closely, and it pretty much identically parallels I'm sorry, the pricing of the previous Searchline Excel. So the pricing is essentially identical to the previous product that this replaces. So that hopefully that addresses that question. Anything else that's popped up, Mr. Sutton?
Yeah, no, I think that that is, for as much as they actually provided, it is great to see, especially the coverage that they're covering, to be able to offer it up at a price. I think the
Yeah,
installed
great.
cost even is, if you look at it just from the ease of installation that you covered, probably even reduces that quite a bit as well. The mounting options are so much better now. So. Um, a couple more questions that have come in here. Thank
Sure.
you. Can we briefly go through the on-site commissioning and testing process? But actually, a follow-up question from Josh, if we could really quickly. Do you have? Can you comment on the lead times that we're currently seeing with the Plus and the Edge?
Yeah, I have to apologize that I don't know what the lead times are. We have not
Okay.
been provided that information.
Josh, we will follow up with you after this meeting and get you an answer back on that. And yeah, appreciate the question.
You bet. And then there's the question about the testing process. So basically, what you do, you go into the app, and you go into check. There's within the maintenance menu, there is a button called Check Alignment, and so you simply touch Check Alignment. And what it does is basically the detector goes into an automatic self test to where the IR receiver reports back via Bluetooth to telling you that the alignment is correct for the IR source, the alignment is correct for the IR receiver, and so it gives you basically a check mark for both the source and the receiver in the visual display. And then it says there's a next button after that. You click the next button, and there are two test filters. There's a low test filter and a high test filter. So you push the next button, and then a screen appears saying to take the low filter and insert it into the IR receiver. And so you take that filter, you insert it into the IR receiver, and then after about 3 seconds, suddenly on your Bluetooth display, the screen will transition to stating test completed and passed, and it'll say remove low test filter. So you remove the low test filter. When you look back at your tablet, the screen will say install high test filter. So when you install the high test filter, and then you look back at your tablet and it'll say test completed. And oh, by the way, in both cases, it'll also indicate the LAL meter reading that was generated during the test. So you're able to see exactly what the response was. And so after you've done the high filter, it tells you test completed and passed. It'll tell you to remove the high test filter. So you remove the high test filter, you go back to the tablet, and it tells you that the test is complete and the system is functioning properly. It steps you through step by step. There's no room for confusion for the technician that's doing it. So it's again just a masterful job by Honeywell at making something that could be complex immensely simple.
Very good. Hopefully that answered Joe's question there. I'm sure that it did. If not, let me know. And we did get an answer back. Actually, really grateful that we've got a Honeywell product manager on our call with us, joining you, Mark, which is really cool.
That's great.
Jason actually got right back to us and said 4 to 5 weeks delivery. So that's currently where we are, which
That's
is
right.
which is actually great for open-path gas detection, which typically has very long lead times.
And COVID. Yeah, in this day and age, that's outstanding.
That's very true. Very true. We got another question about the recording. We are recording this, and we will have it published both on our website and our YouTube channel. So I also wanted to point out that we absolutely welcome. Should have said this at the beginning. Honestly, we welcome the opportunity to come out, look at your existing gas detection installation, what you'd like to do, provide any feedback on what we see and observe, as well as provide opportunities to maybe even set up a trial for one of these devices if that's what's required in order to jump in and get one of these installed at your site, or in order to go through a management of change process. We're happy to help with that. And that's one of our favorite things to do, obviously, is get out in the field and join you, boots on the ground. So, I think we're pretty much wrapped up with questions. Although I do see some other ones that are coming down here. So we'll keep fielding questions if they keep coming in.
You
So
bet, absolutely. Yeah, and for those that need to go, I cannot overstate how deeply appreciative I am of all of y'all taking the time to join us for this. I just really appreciate it, and I hope that you've all found that the information shared with you is valuable, useful, and we are always happy to continue sharing information with all of you and helping you in any way that we possibly can. And any questions there that I need to tackle?
yes. So are the
Fire away.
test filters included with the Searchline Excel ordered, or is it only available as a separate test kit?
Yeah, there are three components that you order with a Searchline Excel kit, or three components that come with it. First of all, there's a box for the IR transmitter, the IR source, and the mounting hardware. There's a box for the IR receiver, along with the mounting bracket and hardware. And then there's a third box, which is the alignment scope box, which comes in a beautiful case, beautifully packaged, protected as you would want it to be protected. And the test filters are included as part of the alignment scope.
Okay, great. So as part of the alignment kit,
Yep.
the test filters are included.
Mhm.
Very good. Um, Josh, more great questions from Josh. Thank you. Is there any sort of security for the Bluetooth pairing process? It's a great question. I know a lot of people are interested and also concerned about Bluetooth these days, and I think Honeywell's done a great job of this. Mark, can you just touch on that?
Yeah, I can. Yes, extensive security. So each Searchline Excel Plus or Edge that you purchase has got a QR code that is assigned to that device. And when you get a new Searchline Excel Plus or Edge, in fact, let me take a step back. First of all, after you download for the app from the Honeywell app, you then register yourself through the app to Honeywell. And then when you want to use this with a Searchline Excel Plus or Edge, then you'll use the app and the camera within your in your phone or tablet to scan the QR code that comes with that device, that Open-Path detector, so that you can register that detector with you as you're registered with Honeywell, and nobody will be allowed to have access to communicate with any of your Open-Path detectors that are not registered to have access with that detector. So I've had it described to me that the protection procedures for this Bluetooth communication and this wireless communication follow basically the same protocols that are used by banks to ensure the protection of bank data. Yes, Honeywell is absolutely squarely on board with the vast importance of the security of this means of communication with Honeywell devices in the field. So I hope that addresses that answer. And by the way, when customers do buy Searchline Excel Pluses or Edges from DMS, part of what DMS does is we work closely with your team to assist them in getting their app installed, set up correctly, and then getting their app or getting each of their Open-Path detectors registered correctly with the end user, so that that goes smoothly and easily for the customer. We want all of this to be streamlined and as simple as possible for our customers.
That's great. Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Did have another question here. Maybe worth pointing out. We did put as one of the handouts the services offered by Honeywell Analytics. So we do have startup and commissioning services with on-site warranty included. that we encourage all of our customers to take advantage of. So you can see more about that there. What about sharing a gas list for the Open-Path Gas Detector? And we can follow up here. But is there a comprehensive list that we have, at the moment? Is that, I don't remember seeing it on
The
the
Yeah,
brochure.
the only list I have is the calibration gases that are available. So we've got email addresses for the attendees, and what we can do is we can send an email to each of the attendees providing a list of gases. I mean, it's a very, very long list of hydrocarbon gases. But although having said that, that doesn't mean it'll detect every gas. So, for example, typically, and I don't know about, actually, I don't know on this because the sample wavelengths have been revised from the old Searchline Excel. I know the previous Searchline Excel, for example, was not able to detect vinyl chloride monomer or ethylene dichloride. There are some gases, hydrocarbon gases, that it would not detect. That has changed because of changes in the design of this unit. So we'll get to work on providing that list of known uh, gases that it'll respond to.
Yeah, it's actually a great point. I think we're both piquing our own curiosity here on if we have some additional gases that might be added to that list that the previous generation wasn't able to do. If we can do it now, so great question, and we can follow up with you guys on that. So I think that about wraps us up. And again, want to say thank you to everybody who's still on board. We'll go ahead and close things out. We'll always welcome your phone calls, your emails. Welcome us on site. We can do some customized presentations for you on site as well. We're going to be doing quite a few of those, I'm sure. So thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. Have a great day, and is it too early to say have a great weekend? Thank you so much.
Never.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Take care.